In this video, I will give you an introduction to solving literal equations. And the first few examples that I'm going to do with you is just really focus on the operation that you have and how to undo that operation. So let's talk about algebraic multiplication symbols. So ways that you can write multiply would be the multiply symbol. So kind of like here, the star. You might also see the dot for multiply. Or you might see a set of parentheses for a multiply. So those would be just a few ways of looking at multiplication, or even seeing letters right next to one another. That would be an inferred multiply, even though there's not a symbol for it. So in my first example here, it says length times width is equal to area. So that's an equation that we know, but you might also see it like this: width times length is equal to area. So it could be written the opposite way. So the given operation that I have in this example would be multiply. And how I undo a multiplication is with division. So to solve a literal equation, what you're going to do is solve for a variable that's not pre-solved. So in this example, if I were to solve for w and get the w alone, I'm going to divide by the length. So my width would be equal to the area divided by length. Now the same works for rate times time is equal to distance. Or you might hear it, distance is equal to rate times time. So if I'm going to solve for the rate, I need to undo the operation that's going on right here, which is multiply, and divide by the letter that I don't want. So if I want r alone, I want t on the other side. So my rate is equal to the distance divided by time. Now here's a couple more examples, but with different operations. So in this example, I have a plus b is equal to c. And the given operation that I see here is that addition, because there's a plus sign. So I'm going to undo addition with subtraction. So if I solve for b, that means I want to get the a moved to the other side. So if I move the a to the other side, note that c and a are not like terms. They're two different letters, so they cannot be combined together. So my b would be equal to c minus a. Now, similar here, but instead of being given addition, in this case, I'm given a subtraction problem. So if I want to get the r alone, I need to get the d term moved to the other side. So now I would have negative r, because there was a minus sign there, is equal to w minus d. Notice that w and d are not like terms. Also notice that in this case you have a negative r. So how do you get rid of that negative? We're going to divide everything by -1 to get rid of that negative sign. So if I get rid of my negative sign, I'm going to have my positive r now equal to a negative w and a positive d, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Now on the next page, you'll see that there is another operation. In this case, my given operation is division. And how I undo division would be to multiply. So if I want to solve for x, I need to undo the division of y. So what I'm going to do is multiply both sides of my equal sign by y. Now I will have x is equal to z times y. You could also write it yz. Those would be the same thing. Now again, if I want to solve for q, I need to undo the divide by r. So I'm going to multiply both sides by r. So in this case, now I have q is equal to k times r. Now, in my next examples, I just have a couple operations going on. So notice in this one I have a division, and I also have subtraction. So I'm going to start with undoing subtraction because when you're solving, you want to work backwards through your PEMDAS. So I'm going to start with my subtraction and I'm going to do addition. And then to undo my division, I'm going to use multiplication. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is add 7 to both sides. Now I have xy is equal to z plus 7. Now if I multiply both sides by y, I need to multiply the whole right side by y. Okay, so note, when you multiply, when multiplying a side, multiply the whole side. Oops, not whole side. So if I multiply, I'm now going to have x is equal to, now I'm just going to move this in front because normally we see a distribution in the front, z plus 7. I'm just going to make myself write that z with a line in the middle so I don't get confused. It's not a 2. If you want to multiply the y through, this would also be correct. That would be another way of writing that. Okay, similarly, I have a couple operations. I have a division and an addition. So to undo that, I'm going to do subtraction and multiplication. So I'm going to start by, in this case, subtracting 8 from both sides. Note that your k minus 8, they are not alike. Just like up here, z and 7 were not alike. So now I have q divided by r is equal to k minus 8. Now if I get rid of the r, so I'm solving for q by multiplying by r, make sure you multiply the entire side by r. So now I have q is equal to r times k minus 8. That would be a great way of writing it, but if you want to distribute it, you could also write your answer like this, rk minus 8r.